Distinguished graduates, parents, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, and administration, welcome to this commencement exercise as Pearl River Community College proudly recognizes those special students who have completed the requirements for graduation. We believe that the successful completion of these requirements has prepared our graduates to move successfully into the workplace or to pursue additional higher educational opportunities. Graduates, we want you to know how very proud we are of you. Your degree from this historic institution symbolizes that you have gained the knowledge and skills that you will need to be successful in the future. Please do not forget, however, that education is a lifelong process. If you are to be successful throughout life, you should be prepared to continually seek new knowledge. As you prepare to leave us today, please know that you are a special part of the Pearl River Community College family. Your future is important to us, and we have made every effort to help you prepare for success in life. Please know that we wish for you the very best life has to offer. For our invocation this morning, we're going to ask Ms. Presley Stiglitz, member of the graduating class, to come forward. Presley. While Presley is making her way to the podium, let me tell you a little bit about her. Presley Stiglitz of Hattiesburg is the daughter of Tracy and Stacy Stiglitz and the late Gidget Nikkes. Presley served as captain of the Lady Wildcat soccer team this season and earned all MACJC player awards. She is a member of the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society, the PRCC Student Voices, and the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. She served as Student Government Executive President. She was also crowned Miss PRCC Wildcat 2012 and voted sophomore class favorite. In the fall, Presley will continue her education at Belhaven University, where she will play for the Lady Blazers soccer team. She is pursuing a degree in marketing with a minor in sports administration. Presley.
Will y'all bow y'all's heads with me? Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for allowing all of us here to reach this special occasion in our lives. And thank you for guiding us through the roads that led us here. I pray that you continue to bestow blessings upon us as we follow the paths you have laid before us. Thank you for the invaluable relationships we have formed here at Pearl River between students, teammates, faculties, and staff. Lord, you have blessed us with family and friends that have been our support system throughout the whole journey. And for that I am extremely grateful. I pray that we take all that we have learned at Pearl River in and out of the classroom and apply it to our lives and grow into the strong Christian men and women that you desire us to be. As we enter this new chapter of our lives, I hope that you will guide us and protect us, and may we always remember here at the river. Amen.
Please be seated. At this time, I would like to introduce to you some very special guests who are present with us today. The Board of Trustees for Pearl River Community College is represented today by the following individuals. I'll ask them to stand, if you will, hold your applause until everyone is introduced. Representing Forrest County, Mr. Brian Freeman. Representing Forrest County, Mr. Herbert Ray Nobles. Representing Hancock County, our board chairman, Mr. Frank Ladner. Representing Jefferson Davis County, Mr. Tony Waits. Representing Lamar County, Dr. Ben Burnett. Representing Pearl River County, Mr. Alan Lumpkin and Mr. P.W. Pope. If you would, let's give these folks a round of applause. Each year, Pearl River Community College invites a graduate or a person of significant community influence to deliver the commencement address. In our view, this invitation is among the highest honors that our institution can bestow upon an individual. At this time, I will call on Dr. Adam Brearwood, Vice President for the Poplarville campus and the Hancock Center, to come forward and to provide the introduction for this year's graduation speaker. Dr. Brearwood.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis, and good morning. It is a true honor and pleasure to introduce our 2013 commencement speaker, State Representative Mark Formby. Representative Mark Formby is a sixth-generation Mississippian from Picayune. After graduating from Picayune Memorial High School in 1974, he attended Pearl River Community College and then received a bachelor's degree from Mississippi State University. He is an Eagle Scout and continues to serve in various volunteer positions in Scouting. He has been active with numerous civic and community groups and served as State President and National Vice President of the United States Junior Chamber of Commerce, commonly known as the JCs. From 1987 to 1990, he served on the Washington, D.C. staff of United States Senator Trent Lott as his Economic Development, Trade, and Small Business Legislative Assistant. Mark is currently serving in his sixth term in the Mississippi House of Representatives, where he is the Republican Majority Whip. He has been recognized as one of the top 5 pre-economic development legislators 19 years in a row and is currently ranked as the #1 conservative legislator by GOPLiberty.org. He was chairman of the Insurance Committee when Hurricane Katrina devastated the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Mark serves on the following committees: Oil and Gas, Insurance, Public Utilities, Marine Resources, Transportation, Ways and Means, and is chairman of Rules, the third-ranking leadership position in the House. Representative Formby co-founded the Mississippi Legislative Conservative Coalition in 1994 and served as its first president. This bipartisan group of over 60 House members worked to promote free enterprise, less government, individual liberties, and the traditional family values. In addition to his duties as state legislator, Mark owns and operates Formby Realty in Picayune. He and his wife Rita have 2 children, Rebecca, age 6, and Eli, 5. They attend First Baptist Church, where Mark serves as a deacon and teaches Sunday school. Ladies and gentlemen, State Representative Mark Formby.
Well, good morning, Dr. Lewis, members of the faculty, staff, alumni, special guests, and most of all, to the Pearl River Community College graduating class of 2013, let me say thank you for the opportunity. I have to tell you that I was honored, obviously, when Dr. Lewis called and asked me to do this today. When I told my 80-year-old mother that I was doing this, she was just shocked. She is one of the few people that remember the kind of student that I was when I was at Pearl River. They say that I was in that percentile that made the upper 90% of you look so good. I'm not sure how I got to this podium today exactly. It's been a long journey. But I am sure that for this moment in time, that before disappointment was made by man, I believe that it was made by God. So it's an absolute pleasure to be here, to have the opportunity just to share a few thoughts with you this morning. When I was leaving this morning, my wife, Rita, was trying to be helpful, as she can be. And I'm getting dressed, and at some point she said, "Don't forget your cell phone." And I said, "Thanks, darling." A few minutes later, she said, "And do you have your wallet?" And I said, "Yes, dear." A little while after that, she said, "Do you have your car keys?" "Yes, sweetheart." I was walking out the door, and she said, "Do you have your speech?" I said, "Rita, I'm 50 years old, and oh yeah, my speech." So obviously, I'm not going to talk to you today about organizational skills. I have a 5-year-old son, Eli. I have a 6-year-old daughter, Rebecca. And I am 56. So I'm obviously not going to talk to you about life planning today either. Almost 40 years ago, I attended Pearl River Community College, Pearl River. And I have to tell you that I didn't graduate first in my class, or second, or last, because frankly, I didn't graduate at all. I basically wasted an opportunity for an education and wasted my parents' money. At some point, I just told my mom I wasn't college material. What I didn't know is that she already told my dad that I didn't even have a clue. So I left Pearl River, and I went to New Orleans, and I got a job as a construction laborer, and did that for a while, and later ended up in Jackson doing the same thing. So congratulations. You have done something, as of today, that I didn't do. And if you think back, you'll think of some people that sat next to you in class, or the student union or somewhere, that aren't here today either. Because for whatever reason, they didn't apply themselves. It's a big thing. It's a big thing to be where you are today. The neatest thing about it, I think, is that you did it on purpose. You didn't just stumble in here today and get handed a cap and gown. At some point, you looked forward, you decided where you wanted to go with your education, you booked classes, you dodged teachers and tried to get teachers, you studied, you researched projects, some of you took second jobs, some of you juggled families, and eventually all of those components came together to bring you into this arena. That's not the pinnacle of your life. It's not the height of your career. Hopefully it's not the greatest thing that you will ever do, but it's certainly a stepping stone in the right direction. As a matter of fact, this may sound morbid, but this is an obituary moment. Now it really is. You think about it, this is one of those moments that in the end, I hate to talk about that today, but it's coming. In the end, someone will sit down and they'll write down the things that you have done. And one of the things that almost assuredly will make it in that obituary is that you are a 2013 graduate of Pearl River Community College. It will just be among those things in your life that will always stand out. You know, I have listened to over 30 commencement addresses, maybe 45 or 50, all filled with stories of famous people, some of whom weren't so famous that I ever heard of them, eloquent quotes that I could not quote back to you today. They were all attempting to define success or to try to tell some group of graduates what they had to do to be successful. Well, you may have bombed out on commencement speakers because I'm here today to tell you the truth. I don't have any idea what success is going to be for you. Now, I'm a politician and a businessman. That has been success for me. Again, my mom might tell you I still don't have a clue. But it's where I am. It's what I enjoy. It's what I was led to do. So what I will do today is remind you of some things, and I'll tell you some things that you know to be the truth. I'm going to tell you a few things that success ain't. Or maybe I should say isn't at graduation. We know that fame in and of itself is not success. If fame was success, we wouldn't see actors chasing their shrinks and their psychiatrists all over Hollywood and New York City. If wealth were success, and it's not, you wouldn't read about some other millionaire that took his own life. If corporate or political power was success, then we wouldn't have just witnessed so many CEOs and politicians having to step down in disgrace. Or even worse, many of them have ended up in prison. Marriage in itself is a wonderful thing, but not necessarily success. If it was, we would not have a 50% divorce rate in this country. So what's next? I'll tell you what most people do. They graduate, they enjoy the accolades, they run out and apply for jobs, take the first one that comes along, maybe the easiest one to get. They begin to walk through life aimlessly, carelessly, living by happenstance, stumbling on some good things, suffering through some bad times, but most people tend to follow the path of least persistence, the easiest road, the widest, broadest roadbed. And then finally comes that obituary, where someone in their family picks out the highlights of their life, which they may or may not have ever even intended to do, and it's printed in the newspaper. It's kind of like this. The guy was driving down the road, country road. We can relate to those roads. The sun's shining through the trees and flickering on the asphalt, and off in the distance he sees this big gray barn, and as he gets closer he sees three big red circles on the side of the barn, and that got his attention, so he began to pay a little closer attention, and as he got a little closer he realized that in the center, dead center, bull's-eye middle of each of those red circles was an arrow. So he glances out into the barnyard, and out in the barnyard he sees this guy in a pair of bib overalls and an old flat hat, and he's standing there with a quiver of arrows hanging around his waist and a bow, and he just, avid bow hunter, he had to find out, so he bails out of his truck, walks up to the man, and he says, "You're going to have to tell me how you did that." And the old guy scratches his head. He says, "Well, I take this bow, and I take this arrow, and I seek the arrow into the bow, and I draw the bow back, and I aim it at the barn, and I release it. It flies to the air, it sticks in the side of the barn. And then I take this bucket of red paint, and I go down and paint a big circle around it." You see, success is not achieving your parents' dreams or goals, or your spouse's. Success is not achieving society's goals for your life. Success is not even doing, and hear this, it's not even doing the very best you can and then drawing big red circles around it and calling it accomplishments. Because I'm going to tell you, it's really better to miss the target you're aiming at than to never have had a target to shoot at all. After I didn't do well at PRC, I figured out the importance of drawing circles and shooting at them. It's worked out much better in my life. I felt led to run in politics, to run for the Senate, and I did. I drew that red circle and I ran and I lost. I regrouped. 4 years later, I ran for the Senate a second time, and a second time I lost. I missed the target. A third time I ran for the House and I won by the nape of my neck, the skin of my teeth, 32 votes. I won, but not the circle I'd originally drawn, but pretty close. After being elected, I ran for Republican leader of the Republican Party and I lost. I ran for Speaker Pro Tem of the House, and I lost. Later, I ran for Speaker of the House, most recently as a matter of fact, and I lost. I've drawn a lot of circles out there. I've shot a lot of arrows. Had very few bullseyes, but I've had some really great misses. You heard a few. You know, I served on print lot staff in D.C. It was an awesome experience. I had been chairman of the Rules Committee during the worst natural disaster to ever hit the continent. I'm now chairman of the Rules Committee, which guides every piece of legislation through the Mississippi House and onto the calendar and onto the House floor. And I still have circles to draw and to shoot at, as do you. Now, as I wind down the other half of this, other third, I can tell you about 1,000 people who graduated or didn't graduate, and I can give you a lot of quotes about people that you don't know and are meaningless, but I want to tell you a little more personal story. Instead of telling you about some millionaire or some famous person, I want to just tell you about somebody that benefited from the education that you had just received. When I was 16 years old, my little brother was 8. So stay with me for just a moment. It's a good age difference, 8 to 16. He was a child and I was looking to graduation. I had no goals, no motivation, uninspired, had no idea what I wanted to do, but he at 8 years old knew exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to graduate from college and fly jet fighters at 8 years old. The problem he had at 8 years old, 3rd grade, is that he could not read a word. and no one could figure out why. Just didn't get it. A couple years later, he was diagnosed with severe dyslexia. Turned out there was an eye-brain problem, and he was put into special education classes where he stayed throughout his entire 12 years remaining in school. Every year, they would gather in a room like this, and a homeroom teacher would call out a class, and when they got to a select number of people, they went to Miss So-and-so's class, where everybody knew was the special ed class. And that's where my little brother went. Now, it was very sad when he was growing up, because he built model airplanes of all varieties, and he hung them in his room. He drew pictures of fighter planes in war. He looked at pictures in avionic books and air war magazines, and we just stood around and thought, this is sad. And it was. How could he ever achieve that dream? We didn't believe in it. We didn't believe in it. And nor should we have believed in it. You can't fly jets if you can't read and do simple math. But what we didn't understand that I understand now, and it's the only message I hope to convey to you today, is that he had already painted big red circles in his mind. He was already shooting at those circles. At 12, he actually lied about his age so he could get a job bussing tables and began to save his money and started taking air flight lessons, flying lessons at 12. At 15, our family stood on the tarmac in Picayune and watched as he soloed for the first time. Off into the sky he went. He finally struggled through high school and graduated, and he went, in all fairness, to the only place that he could actually get in. He had a very sad ACT score. But he came to Pearl River Community College, where he found people that cared. He found an opportunity to take some remedial courses, start his core curriculum. He learned how to study, make index cards. He learned that he could be half as smart as everybody around him if he studied twice as hard. He could be half as smart if he studied twice as hard. And he ended up going to Mississippi State on the 6-year program. But he graduated. And by then he had a base. He could read. And he could do math. And he ended up in flight school. And he became an Army aviator, and he flew helicopters. And he is now a lieutenant colonel in the Army. Now, he's not famous, but he's on the path that some of you may be on. He didn't become a jet pilot, but he still shot within the same circle. That's what this process is really all about. If anybody was not college material, he was not. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't remind you that there will be some ups and downs in life. Some tough and unfair days. Some of you have already been there. My little brother, in the last 90 days, lost his 5-year-old only child in an automobile accident. That's a huge downer for a graduation ceremony, but it's an important part to hear. He achieved goals that we never thought he would achieve, and at 48, life cuts his feet out from under. But I'll tell you this, it's 90 days. Within 4 weeks, he had organized the child's ministry. He's named it Ella's Light. Some of you have already seen posters, and there's a big event going to be held. He is already drawing circles, even at this stage of his life, big red circles. The difference is, we all believe because we've seen what he can do. Now, I'll leave you with this. Don't wander through life. Don't live by happenstance. Don't settle for the easy path. Don't just allow events to unfold before you and then ultimately draw circles around those accidents and call them accomplishments. Pray. Pray a lot. Then listen to your heart. Find your God stamp, your mission. I believe you, each of us is given a mission. Some of us find it and some of us don't. But if we're given a mission, then we've been endowed with the ability to accomplish that mission, to achieve. So my challenge to you is to try to find it and draw a big red circle around it. Try to find it and shoot at it. And keep shooting at it. and keep shooting at it. Even if you miss, it'll turn out better than not having a target at all. Someone once said that a big shot is just a little shot that kept shooting. So my challenge to you is draw a circle and attack life and keep shooting. Congratulations on your graduation. It's a huge day. And may God bless you in each endeavor that you undertake. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Representative Formby, for those most inspiring words. We appreciate you being with us today. At this time, I'm going to ask the Vice President for Economic and Community Development to please prepare the candidates for graduation.
Will the candidates for graduation please stand? Dr. Lewis, I am pleased and honored to present these candidates to you. On behalf of the faculty of the college, I certify to you that each one has satisfied all of the requirements for and is entitled to be awarded an Associate in Applied Science degree, an Associate in Arts degree, or a Certificate of Proficiency.
By the powers vested in me by the state of Mississippi and the Board of Trustees of Pearl River Community College, I now bestow the Associate in Applied Science degree, or the Associate in Arts degree, or the Certificate of Proficiency upon you with all the rights and privileges associated therewith.
Graduates, you may now change your hat tassel to the left side. Graduates, please be seated.
This year, we have the privilege of recognizing our first Pearl River Community College Honors Institute graduates. These students are part of an elite group who were required to have high ACT scores and high grade point averages for admittance to the program, and then required to take challenging classes in which they had to maintain high GPAs. One student joined in a study abroad program with the University Honors Institute. Another will be participating in a summer internship program with the Environmental Protection Agency Gulf of Mexico program at Stennis Space Institute. Stennis Space Center, excuse me. Several of the students will be transferring into honors institutes at four-year institutions in the state. Would the Honors Institute graduates please stand? Please join me in recognizing these students. Now, as these students come to the stage to receive their diplomas, Dr. Stephen Black, Director of the Honors Institute, will present them with their certificate of completion for the Honors Institute.